I went from 0 to 1,172 MRR in 30 days and then completely stopped doing outreach. I haven't gotten a new client in over 11 days. And if you are early in your business or still trying to get your first few clients, there's a decision that you're going to have to make. And if you get it wrong, you might end up with more clients than you can handle. Everything starts breaking, and then really just end up in a worse position than if you had sacrificed the short term growth to build the capacity to grow faster in the future. And that's exactly what I'm going to be going over today. So the very first thing I want to do is just come over to my Stripe and refresh so that you guys know that I'm not lying. So here, 1,172 MRR, 1,038 is the balance. I haven't cashed it out yet. I'm trying to see how big I can make this balance before I need to cash out and actually take some money out of it. All right, so let's get right into section 1, which is you can't scale a bottleneck. I got 7 clients in the 30 days and I had no systems. So what does having no systems mean? Basically just no automations, or like minimal automations. I had the automation that reminded them to show up to the sales call after I had booked them from the cold call. And that's literally the only thing that I had, which sent them reminders and like a video to pre-sell them, and I'll get more into that later. But what I found out after getting these 7 clients was that I needed way more automation because it's like super repeatable things that you can automate and don't have to pay anyone to do, and I definitely don't want to be doing myself. Like, for example, when I would close a sale on a Zoom call, having the automation that triggers when I mark them as closed in my pipeline and go high level, to remind them to fill out the onboarding form, because a lot of people actually just didn't even do the onboarding form for like 2 weeks. One of my clients still hasn't done it, and I've called them like every other day to make sure that they still want to get the site up. But like they're on board, they're just super busy. So having the automations in place to remind them to fill out the onboarding form. And I love getting tactical with it. So let's just go. I will blur these in the editing of this because it actually has their addresses on it. But so what the automations that I'm talking about look like are something like this, which is when you book a call, reminding them to show up to the sales call and send them the video that pre-sells them. And all of these templates I actually got in Kai Stone's school community, which you guys can go check it out. I'll leave a link to it in the description. That's where I learned how to build all these automations. It's a school community, and he shows you like literally step by step how you can do this. I've kind of changed the way that I do it. I've started using Claude Code instead of building the sites in Go High Level, just because it makes the process a lot easier. But the fundamentals are all in a school community, and I don't want to make it seem like I came up with all this. I learned it from him. Shout out to Kai. So, and like, there's so much stuff in here that I just don't need yet. But now I realize that I do like need these automations where the client signs up, you send them the onboarding information, you send them the onboarding form reminders every 48 hours. When they submit the form, you remove them from this automation, so then you can get them into the next stage, which is you building out their website, which is like a 14-day process. I really build the site in like 30 minutes because it's so simple. But just having automations like this in place that really make your life easier, because you don't have to manually follow up with everyone on everything. And that's what I was doing. Just to show you guys what the onboarding form looks like. This is where it is. Here we go. And again, got the stuff in Kai Stone's school community called Stone Scaling. I've changed it to fit exactly how I want to do it, but fundamentals, learned it from him. So Brik Smart, full name, email, business phone, blah, 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 legal business name. Like, they need to fill out this whole form in order for me to even start building out their website. And reminding them to do that is a automatable process that you don't have to do manually. Anyways, so doing everything manually, and then on top of that, so I was still cold calling and getting more clients, even though I had like 3 or 4 clients already that I hadn't delivered for and hadn't figured out how to deliver yet. Just because I was super hungry. Like I was like, I need more, I need more, I need more, I need more. And I'm not saying that that was a mistake because now I have 7 clients. I'm at over 1,000 MRR. And it really, like, this chaos that I was dealing with really helped me understand the whole process of getting a client, signing them up, what onboarding them looks like, and like really just dialing in that whole process. And that's honestly the most important part, especially starting out. And so, like, if you are just starting your business and you don't even have a client yet, or you have 1 client, you need to get through those reps of doing the full process just so that you can understand it before you like raise the price and do all of this automation stuff and like anything fancy. Just leave it until after you know that you understand the process and after you know that you can actually sell someone, because that's ultimately the most important thing to confront, especially starting out. And now I've gotten through that phase. I know exactly what the process looks like, and so I'm trying to make it more efficient, and that's why I'm taking a step back. So at the end of the month, this pretty much sums up how I was thinking. Um, the very specific moment that this happened was when I had fully built out a site. I'd fully built out all the automations, and then I was on an onboarding call with one of my current clients, and then found out that he actually uses a different messaging platform and a scheduling platform that his business completely relies on, that he wouldn't be able to ditch and like come to the messaging system that I use in Go High Level. And so like I'd literally explained that to him before the call, and like it was whatever. But that's the kind of stuff that you have to fix for. And so I was like, fuck, how do I fix this? That is a full, very accurate summary for the whole month. And then I was basically just scaling chaos, not the business. And again, I'm not saying that this was a mistake, but I'm glad that I caught it where I did and stopped cold calling to get more clients, sacrificing like pushing to another 1,000 MRR in that same month, where I could have kept cold calling and getting more clients on top of the original 7, and then have to figure out the whole process for 14 clients instead of just figuring it out for 7, which is the decision that I've been in the process of following through with now. But let's get to the next section, which is the math. So the juicy stuff, the tactical breakdown. So I made 745 dials, 149 conversations, 29 meetings booked, 9 of them showed up, 7 of them closed. And to be clear, in the very beginning, I was actually cold calling with a friend. We've now decided that it's not the best way to start out, like having a partnership in the beginning. So he's starting his own version of the exact same business. But I didn't make all 745 dials by myself. I made probably like slightly less than half of them. But my booking rate was higher than his. He knows it. Shout out Zane. But okay, so 149 conversations, 29 booked, 9 showed, 7 closed. So that was a 78% close rate for people who got on the call, which is, I know, not exactly how you are supposed to measure close rate. Like, you're supposed to measure close rate as a percentage of closed from booked, but for people who showed up, 78% close rate, which is just telling me that sales is not the constraint of my business. Like, actually getting people to show up to the call is something that I should fix before even looking at what I'm doing wrong in sales, because this is pretty high. This is honestly really good in my opinion. So I had to realize that the sales wasn't the problem. I never really thought it was a problem, but sales wasn't the problem in this business. And then how did I qualify for the sales call? So how did I actually get qualified people to show up for this sales call? Basically, what you do is you just, as soon as you book someone from a cold call, like let's say you called a local business, a local plumber, and then you said, I built you a free website. Would you be able to look at it later today or tomorrow? Eventually, you're going to get someone who says yes. So what do you do between that time and the time when you're actually on the sales call with them to increase the likelihood that when they're on the sales call, they're already interested and want what you're selling already. And you do that by sending them a fully transparent video of every single thing that you do and the pricing at the end, to just be like, okay, so what's up, Mr. Contractor? My name's Austin. I'm the CEO, founder of Brik. I started this business, blah, 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 blah. Give a little story. I want to cut straight to the chase. Don't want to talk about any bullshit. So the first thing we do is build you the website. The second thing we do is build you this automation, and then you do that for literally every single thing that you do. And it doesn't only apply to my business. This is literally any service business that you guys could be running right now. Send them a video before getting on a sales call with them, going over the whole process. Make sure that they watch that video. Send them reminders, call them, make sure they watch the video before the call, and just simple stuff like that will qualify people and prevent you from getting on calls with people who are just going to waste your time, who are like, I thought it was going to be completely free. Like, I didn't know it was going to be $297 a month, and then you just wasted 30 minutes on a call. So that really just qualifies them before the sales call, and sending them reminders to actually show up to this sales call. So I want to talk about the 31% show rate really quick, which is not great, but also it could just be a result of qualifying people before they get on the call, which is a good thing. So if I have a 31% show rate and 90% of the people who are showing up on call are qualified, I'm perfectly okay with that. Like, I'm not wasting my time on sales calls. I'm just qualifying them before that. Obviously, this is something I'll look into in the future. Like, maybe I'm not doing something right in the reminders. Maybe I'm not sending them enough information. But I'm okay with this if qualified people are showing up. And just to give you guys a little bit of sales context, because if you are starting out and you've never sold anything in your life, it does not serve you to compare yourself to someone like me who has actually done sales before. And I'll give you a little background, which is when I was 16, I had a lawn care business where I went door to door in my neighborhood offering to mow people's lawns for free the first time, and then charging them like $35 to $80 a week, depending on how much or how big their lawn was. And the little free thing was a lead magnet I had learned at the time from none other than the big Mosey himself. So yes, I was applying Mosey money concepts when I was 16 years old. That's a little context. I also reached out to a bunch of different YouTubers who didn't have really good content that needed editing. I'm not saying my content's good. I don't edit my content at all, and that's intentional. But so I reached out to a bunch of people on YouTube and their comments, and then I actually ended up getting my first video editing client when I was 17 years old, who had actually won Hormozy school games 1 month. If you know, you know. I'm not going to explain what the school games is now, but she actually won that, and she was my first client, which felt really cool. And so the takeaway is, if we look at this whole thing, the amount of calls, the close rate, how I qualified them, the show up rate, we can see that my constraint wasn't closing. My constraint wasn't really getting them to show up to the call because I was qualifying them before that. But it was actually having the systems in place to follow up with these people that I did close, and follow up with the people who to follow up with the people who I had booked from cold calls, and then also follow up with people who I had closed on a sales call, and having the different automations in place to remind them to watch the video before the sales call, and to remind them to fill out their onboarding form so that I can actually build their website, and simple stuff like that. But let's get into section 3. So the engine analogy. This is really how I'm thinking about this decision, and I think it will help you guys understand like the concept a little better, which is if you picture yourself pushing a car, right? Like you're not getting the most out of that car. And that's exactly how I felt in the first month. I was physically pushing a car. It's in neutral. I'm pushing the car. It's super hard. And eventually, if you just keep pushing the car, you're going to get tired and you're not going to be able to keep pushing the car. So the engine analogy is after you've been pushing the car just to test that the wheels actually work, which is getting your first few clients and understanding the process. Then you pull over for a brief moment to look at how the car actually runs, and you really dig deep into the engine, and you're like, okay, this part doesn't really work. This isn't running well. Let me fix this. Cold call to sales call automation. Let me fix this. Let me actually remind the person properly. Let me try to get them to respond so that I know they're actually going to get on the sales call. Let me send them a better quality video before they get on the sales call to make sure that they think I'm professional and actually fully pre-sell them and set proper expectations for the sales call. That's just one aspect of the engine. Then we look at another part of the engine. After I've closed a client, what happens? So we're looking at this discombobulator in the engine, which is the automation after you close a client. And so what do I actually need to do here? I need to follow up with them after the sales call saying, congratulations, you signed up with BrikSmart, or thank you so much for signing up with BrikSmart. We really appreciate your time, blah, 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 blah. Here are the next steps. So I need you to fill out this onboarding form. I need you to give us Google Business Access, and I need you to send 25 to 35 pictures to this email address. That's another part of the engine. Then we go to another part of the engine, which is after I close a client, how do I deliver their website and systems? I do it, all of it. That's how it was working when I was pushing the car. But now, if we're really looking at the engine, you realize like, okay, this is very repeatable too. I can just pay a VA $5 to $7 an hour to do this, and then spend my time where it's most valuable, which is cold calling and on sales calls. Fix another part of the engine, and then make sure that all of those work together nicely. And obviously, when you pull over and you try to fix your engine, you can't make it perfect. Like you're gonna have to look at the engine, put stuff together, and then you're actually gonna have to drive the car again. Just to see if it works, because you can't see if it works just by working on it and putting different stuff together, because no matter how perfect it looks to you, stuff is always going to break even when you get back in the car. So just getting really the 80-20 of, okay, now this engine should actually run and I can step on the gas a little more, and I don't have to be pushing the car. And that's hiring the VA, building the automations, etc. But not everyone can afford to stop pushing the car because they have a family to feed, or they have rent to pay, or different people like depending on them. So for those people, like if you are that person, it doesn't serve you to think, oh, I'm not even going to try because someone else has the ability to stop and look at the engine. That's not going to help you at all. You're not going to achieve your goals by doing that. So what you need to do is you need to figure out how you can get the engine running, even just slightly. You don't have to take as much time to look at the engine, but you take the time to get the engine running slightly so that you can push on the gas and you can feed your family and take care of your kids and pay rent next month. But while you're doing that, like you also you can't stop at any point, because every single month you're going to need to make a certain amount of money to keep doing that. And if you have a recurring business, you can get to a certain point and then stop because you're comfortable. But it's kind of more difficult for you to be able to stop, which like you need to reframe that. You can't use that situation or your position to think like, oh, this is so unlucky for me. You need to reframe that. Instead of thinking, oh, I have all of these things that I need to balance while running the business, you can reframe that and think, I'm going to build a skill that someone who didn't have to do this isn't going to build. So I have to figure out how to step on the gas, which is like make the cold calls, run the ads, whatever. I have to figure out how to keep the car going, get out of the window, work on the engine super quickly. When the car starts slowing down again, get back in the car, press the gas, and then get the car up to speed again, and then get out of the window, fix the engine, get back in the car, and doing that over and over again. But throughout that process, you're going to build a skill that someone like me or someone else who didn't have to keep the car running the whole time is not going to build. They're not going to have that skill. So really, like, this is something that I really like to do, which is framing disadvantages or like things that you see at face value that you think are a disadvantage and flipping it and seeing it as an advantage. Like, I'll make that more clear in this point right here, which is reframing for the young people. If you are 18, 19, 20 years old and you are living in your parents' basement, or you're living at a friend's house, or you dropped out of college and you feel like you have nothing going for you. You don't have any money, you don't have any connections, you don't have any safety nets. It's very easy to just like see yourself as a loser because everyone else is telling you that you're a loser. You're in your parents' basement, you're not really making any money, or maybe you're not making any money yet, but you're trying, or maybe you're not trying and you need to start trying. But if you are that person and you feel like you have nothing going for you, you need to flip that and realize that you have nothing to lose. You have the ability to take risks very quickly, work on whatever you want or whatever you need to, as much as you need to, because nobody's relying on you. And that's exactly how I feel right now. But the problem is, if you are this person and you're however old, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, just young enough to not have so much responsibility, but you are in the like transitionary phase between when you're in high school and everything was taken care of for you and when you're like a real big boy with your own job and like your own life. You have this little phase or this window where your parents might be like willing to let you stay in their basement. And I'm very grateful that mine are. Some people won't. They say that you need to go to college or you need to move out. But like it doesn't matter. You have to play with the cards that you're dealt. But you have a very short window of this grace period where your parents let you stay in the basement, or when how long your friends let you stay at their house, whatever it is. The window is going to close, and if you are not maximizing your output during that window, like you're taking a big risk, because eventually you are going to have to pay rent and pay for your food and pay for your car. And then it's going to be even harder for you to make something work. And that brings me to my next point, which is, if you're saying, I can't do it now, I'm going to do it later, just realize that you're never going to be able to do it, because you will never have less responsibilities than you have now. So I hope I've really hammered that point in. And really just to focus on your own position. Like, if you think about it like you're playing a chess game, you don't improve your position on the board by looking at the games alongside you. Like, looking at that person's game next to you doesn't help your position at all. You're in your position because of what you did in the opening, what you've done for your life up until this point. And it doesn't serve you to think that it's someone else's fault. Like, the only way that you're going to change is by realizing that this is your fault. Like, I am the way that I am because of me, not because of anyone else. Because as soon as you say, I am the way that I am because of X, you're giving power to X over literally your entire life. And this method of thinking, of course, comes from Alex Hormozy, but trying to help you guys out in my audience. Even though we're straying a little off topic, but um, I don't know. I just feel like this stage of documenting and making videos during this phase 1 stage should be me just raw talking to the camera, really just saying what I think, just so that if stuff does work out, you guys can see what I did and replicate it. And when stuff doesn't work out and things don't work, you guys can see what happened, how I was thinking about it, and then not do that. So, anyways, let's get on to section 4. So what does building the engine actually look like? We pretty much already went over this. The two main things are just the VA and automation. So automating the things that are repeatable, and how you do that is you literally just look at everything that you need to do and you list out, like, I'm not going to get the paper now, but I looked at my whole business and listed out every single step that goes into running it. At least at the stage that I'm at right now and how I see it. And I highlighted things with a nice little yellow highlighter that I know could be automated, like the text messages, the reminders, the building the website out using Claude Code, triggering from an onboarding automation. And let me know down in the comments if you guys want me to actually show you how to do that, because I think it's pretty cool. But I'm not going to waste my time and make the video if you guys don't think that it would be valuable. And then hiring out a VA to do that, to oversee that website building process. There's not actually much that they need to do, but there's still, like, a human still needs to look at the output to make sure that it's good. And that's where the VA comes in. So I will show you guys what this kind of looks like, and this is my Claude Code, and you're like probably thinking, oh shit, like what is going on here? And don't worry, I'm thinking the same thing, brother. Okay, not this. Let's go to the VA file. VA hiring. And now I'm going to put you guys onto a little more game, okay? So this is the hiring SOP that I've made for BrikSmart, which in order to build this, I'll close this to make it a little bigger. I trained Claude on like probably I don't even know how many pages of content, but like let me just show you guys. I'll take a little branch off into this, because this is real game right here. Here we go. So, little life hack for you. If you want to feel like you're talking to Alex Hormozy or Layla Hormozy, here's how you do it. So you go to YouTube and you copy the transcript. You can go to some website. I use YouTube transcript generator.com. Just look up free YouTube transcript generator. You'll find it. And then generate the transcripts for all the videos that go over stuff that you want to learn and stuff that you want to implement. And then paste it into a Google Doc. Like I've pasted, there's 49 pages of Layla Hormozy context in here. So whenever I have a hiring question or a leadership question, I ask Claude to reference the Layla Hormozy context and then tell me how I should apply it to my business. Little life hack. And I've done the same thing with Hormozy, and I've done the same thing with people who I want to replicate their success. And that's how you do it. So I built this out using the frameworks and hiring process and just a bunch of different videos that Layla Hormozi has made to really refine this, the language, what to look for, and just yeah, that's how I've done it. Like actually, like probably the biggest thing, biggest hack. Paste all the context of someone who you want to be like, and ask Claude how you can be like them, or how you can apply this in your specific business, which it's very good at. And then why this has to come before more outreach, kind of already went over this. It's just making sure that I'm not scaling chaos and that I'm actually scaling the business. So working on the engine so that I can step on the gas and make sure that the car actually goes. And after stepping on the gas for a while, I might need to pull over again and reevaluate what the engine is looking like. But I have to have this before doing more outreach and bringing on more people, because I don't want to break the car. And so this is basically the point at which I'm going to start the outreach again. So I need to post the VA's job application on onlinejobs.ph, and then interview a bunch of the people who apply for the job. Pick the best one using the interview process that I built out using Layla Hormozi context and Alex Hormozi context. And then I don't have to have them fully trained. I just have to have them, I just need to know that they can do what they've said they can do, and they're qualified, they can talk, they're fluent in English, just the basic things. So plan for this week, post that job, hire a VA, finish my whole to-do list, which, let's get tactical again. This is what my to-do list looks like. This is all tomorrow. This is what I have to finish before starting outreach again, which is kind of a lot, but I have a few days to do it. And now I want to get to the part where I'm really being honest about what I'm actually doing and how it could go wrong, because I feel like this is the most valuable aspect of documenting the journey, which is this could go wrong in two ways, honestly. And like, I'm not 100% sure that it's going to work. And that's exactly why I want to tell you guys, because if I was 100% sure everything was going to work, it wouldn't be very valuable. I wouldn't be documenting the truth, which is what I'm trying to do. So here's the truth. I could hire the VA and then try to start cold calling and not get any customers, and then have a VA that's expecting to be paid and not have any customers for them to be working on, which I'm hoping is not going to happen, because pretty confident in my ability to cold call and book people and close them. Just a lot of volume, process is kind of rough, but I'm going to be documenting all of it. A lot of content coming when I'm doing this cold calling. And then the other way is that I don't find a VA that I like and want to work with, and then turn on the cold calling, which is literally just going to put me back at where I started. So that's like what I'm thinking, how it could go wrong. And I don't see it going that way, but it could go that way. Like, let's say I go through the whole interviewing process, I don't find a qualified VA, and during that process I'm cold calling to make sure that they actually would have work when I hire them. I would still have to deliver those client sites and do everything manually again. Not manually, obviously I'd have the automations, but like still build out their site, set up their sub account, set up their Signal House A2P phone number, which I don't want to do because I actually want to scale this business. But I don't know. Those are the two ways it could go wrong. And why I'm doing it anyways is because I don't see the business growing faster than it currently is in the future unless I get this right. So unless I automate all these processes and get the systems in place to send the reminders and ask for the information and follow up with the customers, and then have the third branch, which is me cold calling and actually closing people consistently. So if I don't get those three things in place, I don't see the business growing at a faster rate than what it is right now, which is what I'm trying to do. Um, it would probably grow, but the slope would stay the same. So the whole concept of this entire video is to sacrifice the short-term growth of carrying on cold calling, even though you don't have the whole delivery process sorted out. But if you are the person who has a family to feed and you have rent to pay, like, you need to keep cold calling. You just have to figure out how to build the engine at the same time. But if you don't have that hanging over your head, then you can afford to take a step back and really work on the delivery and the automation and everything that you can automate to make sure that you can spend as much time possible on the most valuable part of the business, which for me, in my case, is cold outreach and getting on sales calls and trying your best to get everything else to work without you. And that's the whole point, to take a step back, sacrifice growing an extra $1,000 in the current 2 weeks, and instead use that current 2 weeks to build the engine to next month do 5 times the output that you could have done if you had kept cold calling. Hope that makes sense to everyone. That's going to be it for the video. If you are new to the channel, my name is Austin Wallach. I'm documenting the whole journey from my parents' basement. If you can't tell, love Alex Ramosi. There you go. Those are all the things that you need to know about me. You can go follow my Instagram. I'm documenting daily on there. So literally just posting daily stories of what I'm doing and short little reels to grow the brand and hopefully help people who are on reels and only have a 60-second attention span. And that's it. Keep working.